All right, here we go. Starting off this evening's watch list, I actually want to concentrate on the S&P 500 index here. We made a strong turn away of the 1440 line, and if you look in the daily chart, you'll see this nice rise in wedge that started back in actually the beginning of March. You could just draw that trend line up from the bottoms of March, the bottoms of April, and the bottoms of May. It was a perfect upward trend line, and then the tops of March, tops of April, and the tops of March, and it's coming to an apex. So pretty much hit the upward area of it today, and that's very important because we had a nice down bar here. And now these just tell you a little bit about a falling wedge and how they. This is actually, because I'm not going to just stumble through the definition here. I'll just give you the standard definition of a falling wedge, and not try to, I'll put a little bit in my own words also. Basically, a falling wedge is a pattern that shows up in bear markets. It's usually a reaction move off of a downward, a longer term downward move. So it's almost like a bounce play. The pattern shows up on charts when the price moves up it moves up with pivot highs and pivot lows, meaning each high is kind of a higher high and a higher low, but and a trend line comes together, and everything starts to connect at one point, the apex. They show a convergence towards the upper part of the pattern, and as that pattern gets near completion, the breakdown usually happens. Very rarely does the pattern complete right to the apex. It usually breaks through about 3/4 of the way through, and that's proper breakdown of a rising wedge pattern. It has a similar to a bear flag, and but it's just a beautiful thing when you do find one. So we actually have one on the daily chart, and if you look at the 60-minute chart, I've been uploading it to the site a lot. There's a great example of that. All right, you have to also remember there's a couple indicators here that you want to look at a rise in wedge, and make sure it's if it's a real pattern or maybe a false pattern. All right, so the volume should be decreased, and actually the volume is not up on here. I should bring up the volume chart also. The volume should be decreasing into the thing. Actually, that volume is not working properly. So, and I could tell you it is. The volume is actually decreasing in the pattern. And you want to actually see this as a reaction move in a bearish trend. So if you look back on the daily chart, you'll see that we've been pulling back since October, and we've pulled back from the highs in October all the way down to March, and then we've made this little bounce here. The only part here is I put this trend line in here right around the 1385 mark, and that seems to be the breakout of the inverted head and shoulders here. So we've got a couple patterns playing out here. This rising wedge pattern is a very strong pattern, so I'm going to watch it closely. Again, on the 60-minute chart, you can actually see it a little clearer, and I'll bring you up the 60-minute chart here, which I really enjoy looking at. It's just almost like a work of art here. All right, this is the one I actually uploaded to the site. Just a perfect touch into the upper, touch into the bottom, and we're just moving right up here. And today we actually had a nice reversal day. We have the stochastics confirming here, and everything is looking good. Now, what this is probably going to happen is it's going to be a little chop in this area. Eventually, it's going to come down to this trend line, and it's probably going to break through there, and then we're going to have a breakdown of the wedge pattern. The wedge pattern measured move is determined by taking the length of the opening of the widest part of the wedge and using that calculation to put that at the breakout. So I mean, technically this looks like this wedge pattern has the possibility of actually pulling back quite a bit here. I mean, back down below 1320, which is a big move. That would be a 100-point move in the S&P. So that's a pretty decent sized move. So we're going to watch this pattern to develop. I'm kind of hesitant going into this week's market with this pattern laying in front of us. It's just a pattern that makes me cautious. I did take a lot of things off the table today, and I would be watching the market closely looking for some stocks that are showing good relative strength. I'm looking for some short setups or hedges for the longs I'm holding on to. So here we go. That's the pattern I'm looking for going into this week. And again, it's a very strong pattern. It's the rise and wedge pattern. And you know, it's something to watch. Watch for a short entry. Watch for everything. And I think that'll be it for this pattern right here. So let me stop this right here. And we'll continue on with the 10 for 1,000 watch list.